One of my favorite subjects with regards to flat Earth is the bubbles in space phenomenon. If you needed any more evidence that the ISS was totally fake, that it's just a made-for-TV, reality TV show disguised as reality, presented as real, and paid for by you, the taxpayer, and staffed by actors, these are not astronauts, they're actors, that the ISS is not in space, that their spacewalks are indeed underwater, bubbles. And there's plenty of footage of bubbles in space. Let me show you an example here. And what they'll normally do is they'll have one of their shills, like Secure Team or others who do nothing but watch ISS footage and then report on UFOs. Well, they'll just say, oh, those bubbles were UFOs passing by, or space dust. But when you look at it closely, it's clearly behaving like bubbles. And then you'll have people who are skeptics about it who will say, well, no, bubbles would go straight up. It's like, well, no, they tilted the camera, dummy. And so here's a video by Jeranism, Get Out of the Pool, NASA, More Space Bubbles. And I'll link this one below. But look, just watch. I mean, it's if you've ever had an aquarium in your house with fish, you've ever been underwater, you know what bubbles look like. Those are bubbles. Those aren't UFOs. Those aren't satellites. It's not dust. Those are bubbles. Look how they're behaving. And this is caused when the astronauts are leaving the ISS. This is actually cropped. He zoomed in close because they open their hatch so they can do their, quote, spacewalk. And as I've said many times, the spacewalks are all done in the Neutral Buoyancy Laboratory in Texas. More bubbles. So if you still believe the ISS is in space, you have taken a tremendous leap of faith. And faith is the mind killer. Faith is the abnegation of your responsibility to think. So you've accepted this on faith. Look at all those pretty bubbles. And something else you're going to constantly see with regards to the ISS is Terminator lines. You know, because we're supposed to believe that half the Earth is in darkness at once and the line is uniform, or it should be, the way a sphere is lit by a light source. But next time you watch the sunrise or the sunset, just go take a look at how the light recedes into the distance. We do not have a Terminator line because the sun is a localized spotlight, whatever it happens to be. Now a second video, which I will also link below, this is Bubbles in Space by Payday Monsanto. This is one of the best ones, I think. Take a look at this.
Images. NASA is still unable to remove bubbles in space. Bubbles in space. This summer, get ready for the revelation so unbelievable that only the most observant, perceptive, unbiased will figure it out. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles in space.
Okay, I'm linking both these videos below because I get a lot of people who say, I see the ISS. I go out with my binoculars and I see it. No, you see something. Maybe it's a plane. Maybe it's a balloon. Whatever it is, it's not orbiting anything, and it's definitely not the ISS. These are not astronauts. They are scuba divers. In fact, I have a book by one of the astronauts, Mike Massimino, or Mike Massino. It's called Spaceman. And half the book is about him trying to get certified to be a scuba diver. And that's because somehow scuba diving has something to do with going on a spacewalk. No, this is just how they figured out how to fake it. And now NASA has a $19 billion budget like last year. $19.5 billion to produce this. Movies. And you're paying for it. And I call it the government media entertainment complex because the media and the entertainment work hand in hand to convince you of these lies. That's why you see all these space movies. The space movies are there to make this more believable for you. This is absurd. And if this money were put into something useful, I mean, just imagine, $19 billion, what you could do with that. We wouldn't have a healthcare crisis. It would pay for healthcare. We could rebuild the infrastructure of this country here on the ground. I see these people like agitating the street for forgiveness of college loans, which I actually agree with because of the way that they inflate the costs of the education. But look at all this money that's just being thrown away. All for this big illusion. And it's not so they can stop you from going to church. They're not trying to convince you we're on a globe so that you don't believe in God and then you don't go to church. That's not what this is about. This is about them hiding land and resources. It's a parasitic organization, not just NASA, but the globalists, globalism. Global governance is a massive parasitical operation. So they take your money, they brainwash you, and then they use the brainwashing that you paid for to keep you from figuring out that there's a lot more to this world than they want us to know. This is how they keep you on the plantation. This is how they keep you from asking questions. They have all these experts out there in space. And these people act like celebrities, like they're actually doing something dangerous. William Shatner is more of an astronaut than any of these guys, because it's basically nothing more than screen time in simulated environments. So click the links below, and if you believe the Earth is a ball, you can hold on to that, but you can no longer justify believing that ISS is anything other than a colossal fraud. And if you don't recognize this fact, well then, you're not being intellectually honest with yourself. So please check out both videos by Payday Monsanto and by Jeranism, and you have a great night.